get into too much of detail of it. Thales sincerely believes that technology is only an enabler of providing a security for a city. What we need to understand is what is the requirement of the city, the citizens. We believe that we need to build a solution out of the requirements and then deploy technology to make those solutions happening. The five pillars that we consider to make a safe city are to be aware of the situation awareness, coordination and supervision, communicate. It's extremely important how you communicate what you want to do. The organization and procedures, very relevant in the Indian context because we have so many different departments in the country and in the city which run different activities, and you need to have a coordinated approach in providing a safe and sound city. And finally, the chain of command, which naturally follows from the organization and the procedures that we will follow. For lack of time, I will not get into the detail of each of those, but I'm ready to share and discuss with whoever is interested at a later stage. What I will go straight to is to say that in terms of a safe city solution, the overview that we have is we should have these main pillars, that is the city surveillance, the public facilities, the law enforcement part of it, the communications, traffic regulation, and everything controlled under a command and control center. In terms of reference, we purposely have taken the Mexico reference, which is demographically quite similar to the large cities that we have in the country. It's an extremely populous city, having a wide area, extremely high in criminality. And when we entered this project in 2009, we were actually defining the requirement of the city in the form of concept of operations, where we had been tasked to deliver certain tangible results and not say that I need a solution which needs to be 100% uptime. So when the project ended, on the right-hand side of the slide, you can see what were the benefits. The intervention time to an incident reduced from 12 minutes to 2.49 minutes. The concept of operations was fully implementable over there. 50% of the stolen cars were located and recovered in 72 hours. There was a decrease of 32.6% in the criminality between 2009 and 2013. The aggression on the metros, because people who were of a certain behavior knew that they were being watched and they were being monitored, the aggressiveness in the metros had gone down by 80%. So these were some of the tangible benefits that one saw once the entire project went live. Just to give the network architecture, well, this was something which was designed based on the requirement of the city. This was not what we started with. There was a command and control center, 5 of them. There was 2 mobile command and control centers. The architecture was there. Incidentally, the proof of the pudding was that we did receive a repeat order in 2014 for additional facilities to be developed in the city. Some of the other areas that we also work on is the intelligent traffic management system. Strasbourg is a city which is the capital of the European Union, where we have deployed the intelligent traffic management system. Some of the other areas where we work is the French military, the government prison in France, the different oil and gas sectors. The holy place of Mecca is completely secured by Thales solution, and the critical infrastructure of airports. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Amit. So any comment or reaction on urban security? Either to question to Stefan or to Amit? If there is no question, then I will give the floor to Pramod for something totally different. We are going to talk about street furniture, and Pramod will make the presentation for Doco. Doco is a quite successful company already in India. They are present in Bangalore, present in Delhi, present also in Mumbai, and I think in many other cities.
Afternoon. My name is Pramod Bandula, representing JC Deco India. My previous presenters, they have been talking very high-tech things. It's a very simple, which touches everyday's citizens' life in the cities. We are service provider, basically, in terms of street furniture. Street furniture was a word which I think started in this country in 2006 when we started operating in Delhi. Globally, we are over 60 countries we are operating and partners with 3,700 cities. You may ask that 3,700 cities sounds really big numbers, but in Europe, like even 10,000 inhabitant city also, we treat as a city. It's a treat to the eyes. Recently in Paris, all the 2,200 bus shelters have been revamped. This is one of the picture which I'm just showing that. So across, whenever you're going to Paris, next you can see all these bus shelters around, which are of talking about a smart move in the city. This shelter is in Chicago. We do all public service like toilets, semi-automatic, automatic, manual, depending on the city need and environment. This is another, we call it a column. All across Europe, US, you will find these specially built. I must tell you, like, these are all different designs what we produce according to the city environment and the city character. Not that one design will go to the other city. This is Los Angeles. This is Paris, Portugal. It's a billboard, but billboard also have a service. You have a clock on top of it. No furniture is being designed by JC Deco ever, which doesn't have a service for the citizens or for the city. Just coming back to India, we started our operation in Delhi. The first contract signed way back in 2006. Today, I'm proudly saying that it's a JC Deco city. We are operating almost all the key bus shelters. We have various forms of street furniture like toilets, city information panels, benches, even bins have been provided wherever the city administration wanted us to do that. Looking at our Delhi design, Bombay invited us to set up bus shelters in BKC. Bandra Kurla complex is one of the best developed precinct which is being coming up. So there we have a contract with them. And the first airport contract we signed was in Bangalore in 2008. That was the first showcase of airport. JC Deco is worldwide #1 in airport advertising. We have more than 160 airports across the globe. This is picture, I don't have a before and after, but this is the latest picture of Delhi bus shelter. These all pictures we have clubbed together because I had a limitation to the slides. The police booth, it was an old one which was designed new, information panel, the roadside kiosk, toilet, and this design is only for Delhi. See, I mean, this, what I've just tried to explain you, this is nothing really great which cannot be done by the city administration. They can design, they can build, but the key is cleaning and maintenance. The DNA for JC Deco is cleaning and maintenance. We don't compromise really whether we are in Europe or in India. The same process, same systems are in place. We have 140 people working in Delhi, only in Delhi, with 2 major warehouses. You'll see one of that side, like we have a RO treatment plant in each of the warehouse. This cleaning car, they carry water, which is RO treated water, so that the furniture which they wash shouldn't leave behind any rust or anything like that. These very, very minutely, they just go to detailing of like weekly, monthly, and so on. Finally, I just want to touch upon, like, you know, by having a partnership with JCDecaux, how the city can get benefited. It's a zero cost to the city. Otherwise, all the furniture they are supposed to provide to the citizens at their cost. The citizen experience can really enhance, can go differently, because you see all new and clean environment around. It's a good governance for the cities, really, because people will appreciate. Sustainable operation leading to a smart city. Definitely now it's in the air, smart cities, and we are one of the component really who can contribute majorly for the smart cities. Cleaning maintenance is the key, as I have explained, and we create local jobs a lot, really. That is what the contribution we really bring. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pramod.
Thank you,
Mr. Reddy, I think.
When you say zero cost, is there a concession for advertisement or is it?
Yeah, exactly, sir. The sustenance model is against the advertising space, what we create on that, and we sell it to the advertisers. The revenue comes in, like in Delhi, we have a model wherein a certain percentage we give it back to the city. It's all a tendered mode, like at par with the global markets. We pay them back. It's a minimum guarantee and a revenue share, whichever is higher.
The dilemma in giving
And
a
the
concession on advertisement is that there are areas where they don't have advertisement potential, whereas the service requirement is much high.
Then,
And there are areas where there is no service requirement, but the advertisement potential is more.
Great question, sir. That's what we have been really explaining to the cities. Like, you know, the toilets are needed where the toilets really in the lanes, by-lanes, markets, where the advertising commercial option is not there. So it has to be detached. So that can be worked out really with the city administration and the municipal corporations. But ultimately, the sustenance model is advertising space. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So with this presentation of Pramod, we are coming to the end of the third session. We are now coming to the fourth one. With energy efficiency and renewable energy, we'll have two speakers. I think, Racine, you maybe to start from Alstom Energy.
You want to change it? Honorable Ambassador, Monsieur François Richer, Mr. Phanindra Reddy, Jorone, friends. For renewable, climate change has been the biggest trigger since days of Al Gore when he made his famous film on Inconvenient Truth. Since then, a lot of talk has happened and actions as well on climate change. Governments across the world have reacted differently at different speed as well. If you look at our country in India, Modi's government has responded to the inconvenient truth by convenient actions. This has resulted in the new renewable energy policy, a very aggressive, very challenging one, where the government has set to herself a target of adding 175 gigawatt of renewable generation by 2022, up from 37 gigawatt that we have today. During this period, the renewable energy generation is expected to go up from 6% of the total generation that we have today in the country to something like 15% by 2022. Effectively, it means that 60 billion units of electricity, which is generated today from renewable energy, will have to go to 300 billion, a huge, huge task. The long-term renewable generation goal, I'm going further, beyond 2022, and if you have recently followed Niti Ayog's recent announcement, Niti Ayog is a derivative of the former Planning Commission, and they have set a new target of renewable energy to contribute 30% of the energy from renewable only by 2032. by that time, India is expected to have 1,000 gigawatt of generation. Just as a reminder, India today generates, or installed capacity is 274 gigawatt. So it's a multiplier of 4 in terms of capacity of generation, and in terms of just renewable, we have to go from 37 to something like 300 gigawatt, enormous challenge indeed. So if we look at the renewable, what are the promising technologies that we have? So we have solar and we have wind. And solar, again, we have to subdivide solar. We have what we usually understand by solar is the popular technology, which is photovoltaic. Usually you see it in the rooftop. And this has become literally a commodity and no more a high technology. The problem with PV technology is that the PLF, the plant load factor, is very low, 17% to 18%. That means if you want to have 100 megawatt of reliable generation, then you have to have 6 times, literally 6 times of that generation as a capacity. Or if I say it differently, if you buy a 100 megawatt of solar plant, you will get on an average 17 megawatt of electricity. So the mathematics is different. Just as a comparison, if you use a gas turbine, you can have 95 to 98 megawatt. If you use coal, you can achieve 80 to 90, depending on your thermal efficiency. So PV is the commonly understood solar technology. Alstom is not in the PV technology. But you have an advanced technology called concentrated solar power, called CSP. And this is where the technology that Alstom has offers a much higher efficiency thanks to a technology called molten salt storage. So effectively, during the day, when you have a lot of sun, you store energy in the molten salt, and in the evening, you use that, and thereby you deliver roughly double of PV PLF. That means in a CSP technology, you can go up to 40% PLF. MNRE, our Ministry of New and Renewable Energy, is not yet clear on the policy, future policy, but it is absolutely clear that if you put 100 gigawatt of solar by 2022 in the grid, which is today 274, and by that time the grid could be about, say, 400, 450, the grid will collapse. Simply collapse, because solar, like wind, is a variable. You have cloud, you suddenly see an absolute drop from 100 to 0. And today's grid cannot handle this kind of variation unless you invest in sophisticated grid technology, including storage, including compensation technology, also a lot of forecasting, weather forecasting. So a lot has to be done on the grid side to invite the renewable technology. So that's what was on solar. If you look at wind have again 2 technologies. You have wind onshore, which is easy to manage, and that's what you see in India, you see it in France. It is a good solution, but it has its also limitation. What is the other option that you have? The other option is offshore. So again, like solar, onshore wind farm, the PLF is around 18-19%. Again, the same example. If you have a 100 megawatt wind farm, you should be on an average annual basis, you will have 18 megawatt of load. So if your load requirement is much more, so you need to have much more wind farm. Again, wind is not available like everywhere, and wherever you have, again, you have the wind availability. It's seasonal. In a year of 12 months, you have typically in a country like India, in West Coast and the South Coast, 4 or 5 months of wind availability, and that too mostly in the afternoon and late evening. So you need to have a standby energy source if you want to plan for wind. So if you go for offshore wind, and this is where Alstom has solid technology, then the plant load factor could be more than double of a traditional onshore wind farm. And this is a technology that Alstom has installed in the Western Europe. And in India, we have no clear policy on the offshore. There is a draft policy, I must say, and there is a plan to install a pilot project of 600 megawatt size in the coast of Gujarat coast. And we still don't have a very clear timeline, but hopefully in 2 years' time, we might see a project coming up. So what's the potential in India for such offshore wind? So India has in the western coast 90 gigawatt of offshore wind farm potential, and in the southern coast about 120 gigawatt of potential. So these are the options for India for future renewable options. But if I move away from the generation side of wind and solar, to manage a grid with a significant renewable energy, it's a huge, huge challenge. I'm sure those who are resident of Europe, they have seen year before last, Germany offering negative price for electricity, because Germany, as you know, went extremely fast on solar as well as wind. And they didn't back it up with a solid grid, and European grid is interconnected. So it's not only Germany who has to move, all other countries around Germany will have to be, because electricity is flow of electrons. You cannot stop the electron in the middle way that, okay, there is a barrier, I stop, please wait. It's not possible by the law of physics. So therefore, you have to have the connectivity and the load connected. Otherwise, you go for a generation shutdown. So Germany offered electricity free. In India, it will be a lovely word, and money for the electricity. You can't have better. But it was a bad lesson learned by people, by utilities who encourage a lot of renewable without thinking the impact of renewable on the grid. So therefore, in India, while the grid in India is solid, it's a single frequency grid. Today, it is the same frequency across India, 274 gigawatt, world's largest single grid. It's something of an achievement. But India still doesn't have enough inter-regional flow. We have, to the extent of 44 gigawatt of inter-regional flow on a denominator of 274. The ratio is not brilliant because you cannot load the grid to that extent of 44. So what you use actually is a pipeline of 20 gigawatt on a denominator of 274. So you need to have at least 30% of your capacity to be available for inter-regional exchange. That means simply grid, at the grid level, both at state and at central level, we, at the same time of injecting renewable power to the grid, we need to invest a lot at center, at the state, to make sure that the grid tomorrow doesn't collapse. Fortunately for Alstom, Alstom has been traditionally very strong in the grid side. 70% of India's electricity power flow runs on Alstom technology. We have achieved this through 104 years of our existence in the country. We have 14 factories, all are world class. We are the most local company among the multinationals. We surely can claim that. And for us, it's a great opportunity to help the country to achieve this challenging renewable goal. It's not easy, it's not given, but we're ready to run with the government of India, to support government of India to do our best. Thank you very much.